All right, Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And also peace and safety to the Akim that spread across the four corners of the world. That's pushing out this truth with all diligence and also putting their lives on the line to do so. I am the brother Karas out here of Great Millstone, Atlanta, here with the lesson. This is, going to be a long lesson. Just, touching on the topic of, current events, what's going on, in the world, pertaining to, prophecy. All right. And the major thing that's going on is the war in the Middle East between America, Israel, and Iran. All right. Now, your everyday American citizen don't realize how, what's going on in the Middle East affects, the things, over here in Americas. All right. And they will find out very soon, thus saith the scriptures. All right. So, it's important that, or it's a reason why, the Lord gave, all of these platforms, to speak on things pertaining to, war or current events, so you can get the truth. American news or American media, they hide the truth. It's only, they only put out, what's beneficial for them, So without further ado, this is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 3. And it says, For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Let me read the same version in the NLT. It says, when people are saying everything is peaceful and secure. You see, so that's how, like I said, American, media portrays everything, man. That everything, is peaceful and secure, but we're literally, in the beginning stages, of a world war. And these people are going on about their everyday lives, as if nothing is going on, getting blinded by celebrity news, whatever it is, when troops, are being sent over, when the draft is about to happen, all right? So they're preparing you, American citizens for the sword, for battle, or you're not even ready. All right? They're just going to throw you out there, man. Okay? So it says, for when they shall say peace and safety, and then sudden destruction cometh upon them as... Oh, Slaki, let me finish reading, the NLT version. Slaki. It says, when people are saying everything is good and peaceful, it's like everything is peaceful and secure, then disaster will fall on them as suddenly as a pregnant woman's labor pains begin, and there will be no escape. You see? So like the scriptures say, and matter of fact, let me get that in an apocrypha. What's that? I believe it's 5 and verse 7. Yeah. It says, make no tarrying, Sirach 5 and 7, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. You see? So you see how those two scriptures, line up with each other? Like it says in here, it says everything is peaceful and secure. So as these people, trying to make you as comfortable as possible, suddenly the wrath of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is going to be upon you, man. To where it's going to be troops out in the streets, martial law, certain people are going to be sent over to the Middle East, and like the Apostle already said, they're going to receive the sea hip over there, and they're not coming back over to America, man. So this is reality, man. All right. I believe Iran. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, it says U.S. strikes a city home to U.S. strikes a city home to an Iranian nuclear site, while Tehran hits oil tanker off Dubai coast. You see, so we're getting close, man. We're getting very close to that to the missiles, being let off. All right, which is total annihilation, man. But first the Lord has to, have certain prophecies happen, in which they are. Okay. So let me go back to the scripture. I reread this. Sirach 5:7. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. And even with the Pesach, coming up, man. We're supposed to be, in remembrance of the Passover, and what it means, and how important it is to us as a people, especially during this time of the second death, man. We're supposed to be in remembrance of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and how Yahushai passed over, the doorposts of them that had the blood on it, man. Slakia. So from here, I'm gonna go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 39 and verse 1. It says, "But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies." You see, so that's what we're doing, man. We're occupied in the prophecies. Lord willing, we are of that number, the elect, 144,000. Lord willing, we are that number, and we continue to be occupied in these prophecies, man, because that gives us the advantage of knowing, actually what's going on, man. You people are just blind out here. And what the scriptures say, the blind lead the blind, they both shall fall into the what? A ditch. Okay? This is serious, man. We're supposed to be, examining ourselves, like the scriptures say, taking the necessary steps in order to escape the said judgment that's written of in the scriptures. Not BSing around and worrying about this and that. War is taking place, man. And it's soon going to evolve you. Scripture said in the book of Revelation. Matter of fact, let me grab that. I'm probably going to close up on that scripture. In Revelation chapter 3. In verse 10. It says, "Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation." When you go into those words, hour of temptation goes into moment of piercing. which is speaking of the mark of the beast, the RFID microchip, man. It says, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. You see, so everyone will be tried, man. But it's up to you, to like the scriptures say, what manner of persons are ye to be, saying that these things are going to be dissolved. So it's up to you how you carry yourself over into these dark times, man. Verse 11, behold, I come quickly. So the Lord said he's coming quickly, man. Like the scripture that I opened up with, 1 Thessalonians 5. It says what? Then suddenly, so it's gonna, this destruction, this hell is gonna catch a lot of people off guard, man. One day it's gonna be so-called normal, the next day it's gonna be chaos, man. One day you're gonna be clocking in to work, the next day you're gonna be trying to, defend, yourself, man, from trouble. Okay? Wherever it may be. Alright? It says, behold, I come quickly, hold fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. You see? So the crown is already set for the elect, man. We just have to hold on to it. As we walking on that straight gate, we have to hold on to our crown and don't let no man take it. All right, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm going to go ahead and close up by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And until the next time,